1971 to 1974. Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Trawler.
Game 267, Red Sox at Blue Jays.
Welcome back, baseball fans. 1971-74 Carryover League. We are the American League East tonight with a series between the Boston Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays. It has been normally a good era for Boston in this Carryover League, as they've outperformed the traditional Sox during this time. They won the American League East 2 out of the last 3 years, where Baltimore won it once and was a wild card. Then you have the Toronto team, who didn't exist in this timeline, and they have been presented with a card lot that is of the 8 new teams added to the 24 that played during this timeline, the 8 expansion or fictional teams. Toronto seems to have put the best squad out there, particularly between them and Seattle. Seattle's horrible. We can always associate Toronto and Seattle with the same year. And then Arizona, Colorado, and then you have the Florida Marlins, you have the Ohio Players, Las Vegas, and Portland. Those are all the expansion teams, and none of them are anything special. Nothing close to just 500 squads. But in this particular era, it's really hampering the American League East when you have the Blue Jays playing not just spoiler, but a contender, dare we say, with Baltimore and New York also in the mix. The American League East is loaded. Probably the American League East and the National League North, with the Cardinals, Reds, Pirates, and Cubs, are probably the 2 best divisions if I had to guess. Not looking too closely at it, but let's take a look at what's happened. Game 1, series opens in Toronto. They will host the best of 7. Louis Tiant for the Sox against Carl Morton in this game. Red Sox come out of the blocks blazing. A single, but then a caught stealing. A single, a double, and an RBI, and then 2 more outs. And the Red Sox have 3 singles, a double, and have scored a run. Congratulations, Boston. That run, though, will hold up. And when we get into the 8th inning, Carlton Fisk, who's having a great year, hits a home run. They get a couple more runs off the Toronto bullpen. Louis Tiant gets the shutout. 4-0 victory. 4 hits, 4 walks, 7 Ks, beating Carl Morton and Toronto in Game 1. So what happens in Game 2? Surely the Blue Jays can fight and claw and try and even the series up at home, right? The answer is no. Bill Lee, the spaceman, against Clyde Wright. This is another well-played game. You have an RBI double by Mike Lum, having a huge year for Toronto in the 3rd inning. You have a 2-run homer by Fisk. Again, monster year. This is a 3-1 game. After 2 leadoff singles chase Bill Lee in the 8th inning, it's Ted Abernathy, the new closer, brought in, and he does a pretty good job. A single, letting one of the inherited runners score, and he gets the other 6 batters out. Tack on an RBI single by Rick Miller in the 9th. Boston gets a road win, 4-2-2, and the Red Sox are starting to look like the Red Sox, winning games 1 and 2 on the road, looking to come home to Fenway Park and eliminate these out of their league Toronto Blue Jays. So let's see what the Red Sox do when they come home. Game 3, Doyle Alexander for Toronto, Rick Wise for Boston, and it is the Blue Jays enjoying the friendly confines of Fenway Park. In these middle innings, walk, single, walk, 2-run single there. Then in the 5th inning, Mike Lum, a home run, 3 singles, RBI double, a 2-run single, a 2-run homer in the 7th by Don Clendenon, and Boston gets some runs in a garbage time. So Toronto gets a road win in Fenway, and that really hampers Boston's efforts to come back in the American League East. trying to get a sweep over Toronto, and they can't do it. So now it's a game 4, and the Red Sox surely can win a game in Fenway to go up 3-1, right? Well, we've got this, folks. When you see all this color, it means it's an extra inning game. You know, you get your first 9 innings here, the 10th inning, and then the 11th inning. Then you turn around and use every available box you can and hope this thing doesn't go 20 innings because I don't have enough room. This game goes 15 innings. Final score, Toronto 8, Boston 5 in 15 innings. John Curtis went 5 1/3, was chased. Jerry Royce went 7 innings, did a decent job. Boston's bullpen, Roger Merritt had to go 4 innings of shutout ball in relief. Great job, but his team didn't score for him. Rorik Harrison of Toronto, he had 4 innings of shutout relief. In the top of the 15th, though, Boston has to use their last and least effective reliever, Chuck Seelbach, in the top of the 15th. After a ground out and a foul out, you get a single by 220 hitting Hal Lanier, a single by 237 hitting Darrell Chaney, a single by Bill Voss, and yes, Mike Lum, have I mentioned Mike Lum? A 2-run triple in the top of the 15th inning. And then Phil Hennigan of Toronto gets the save in the bottom of the 15th. 4 games in the books, and Boston blew a golden opportunity in the American League East, and they watched it go down the drain. Wasted 4 games, all tied up. We talked about road wins. That's all we got. All we have are road wins. Very strange series. And so what happens in Game 5? Well, folks, you're not going to believe it, but more of the same. The Toronto Blue Jays. My goodness, folks. Something special is going on with this marginal team. They win again. Carl Morton beats Bill Lee, both starter 8s. Morton goes 8 innings, 3 hits and a run, 3 walks, 3 Ks. Elias Sosa, 3 up and 3 down, 9th inning. Bill Lee, 8 hits, 3 runs, and 4 walks. Really, in this game, it all started in the 5th. You have a walk to Hal Lanier, a single by Carl Taylor, and yes, Mike Lum, have I mentioned Mike Lum? A 2-out, 2-run triple. And then in the 7th inning, a Hal Lanier double and a Carl Taylor double is a 3rd run. Boston can only muster a solo homer by Hal King in this one. Your Toronto Blue Jays are embarrassing the Boston Red Sox. They didn't even exist in this timeline. They go to Fenway Park, and it gets ugly. It does get ugly, and Fenway faithful are frustrated, throwing stuff on the field and all sorts of nonsense. So we have a Game 6 back up in Canada. A very young Geddy Lee decides to check out the new baseball club in town as the Boston Red Sox face the Toronto Blue Jays in a Game 6. Boston, on a 3-game losing streak, will send Louis Tiant out there. Magnificent Louis Tiant. 15-6, 191 ERA in 72. And on short rest, the Blue Jays will send Clyde Wright. 16-game winner in 71 for the Angels. Boston at Toronto. The Blue Jays, well, I could say they're playing with house money. They've been playing with house money the entire season. I mean, they're not even, they're supposed to be the doormat that gets beat up in this division. Let's look at the standings before we even start this game. I mean, it's stunning. In the American League East, as we play this game, oh my goodness. So the Orioles are 11-5. Okay, I get it. But there's Toronto, half game back, 10-5. The Yankees 11-7. And Boston, remember, they won the first 2 games of this thing. They needed to sweep Toronto. And now they're toast. And this is a team that's been one of the better American League teams the last few years in the carryover league. Like I said, best record in the baseball, and Winners of the American League East 2 out of the last 3 years. But this year has been horrible, horrendous. And this could be it right here. They don't win this game, you might as well just toss them into the waste bin. Leading off for your Boston Sox is Tommy Harper. 2 sevens, a base hit. Let's try a stolen base. Why not? And he's out. Okay, well, we tried. He's only a double-A stealer, but you get the idea. Batting second, Yastrzemski. 210, a would-have-been double play ball. It's only a ground out. And with 2 outs, Mike Andrews. 49, single 1 to 6. And by the way, if it's single 1 to 6, single 1 to 9, Boston ain't hitting it. They don't get it. They don't have yet to hit a 1 to 6 or 1 to 9 in this series. They can hit a 1 to 16 every once in a while, 1 to 14, but if it's a low chance, forget it. Bottom of 1, Tommy A.G., 59, rolls a second. Tim Foley, 45, double 1 to 3 is a double 1 to 3, as you can see, off of the Tiant card. And here he is, folks. Mike Lum. There's a guy on base. He'll probably do something wonderful. 1973, Mike Lum had 554 plate appearances, a career high, mostly known as a pinch hitter, utility outfielder, but he had 16 homers in an almost full season in 73, his best year in the majors for the Atlanta Braves, who had pretty much everybody in the Atlanta Braves at 294, I think. The pitch to Mike Lum, 68 off Tiant, skies the center, and with 2 outs, it's Don Clendenon. 1-7's a K. Top of 2, it'll be Carlton Fisk, 211, rolls a third. Rico Petrocelli, 54, center X. AG, a 2E8 in center field, makes the catch. Dwight Evans, 67, he strikes out. Bottom of 2, Milt May, 64, catcher's X. We got Fisk is a 1E16, very strange. We have a ton of E16 catchers in this league. I don't know what it was about, the E ratings and the time at catcher, but they're all over baseball. Jim Brazil, 43, first X. Andrews is a 40-25 at first. Oops, base hit. They decided to put Andrews at first, put Yaz in the outfield, and put 3 lefties on the bench against Clyde Wright, and then it will hurt the Boston defense slightly, as Rick Miller's glove is not available in the outfield, and Yaz is not, his gray glove at first base is not available. Dan Monzon, 47 is a walk. 2 on for Bill Voss. 310 is a K, and with 2 outs, it's Darrell Chaney, 39, he flies the center. We go to the third. It'll be John Kennedy. 2-5. That's double 1 to 18, a 2-base hit. Doug Griffin, 56, lines it short. Jackie Hernandez, 2-7, single 1 to 5. No, you're not going to get a single 1 to 5. Not going to happen. And with 2 outs, it's Tommy Harper. 49, single 1 to 6. No, they're not going to get it. It's a lineout. Just can't get them. 6 games in a row. Can't hit a 1 to 6, 1 to 9. Can't do it. Bottom of the third, Tommy A.G. 1-7's a strikeout. Tim Foley, 110. He strikes out. And Mike Lum, 58, short X. Kennedy's a 3E32 at short. And that's a single for Lum, keeping his consecutive game hitting streak alive. Don Clendenon, 1-9. Let's take a look at this Clendenon card. If you've noticed, Toronto, they have AG and Clendenon from the Miracle Mets. They got old in New York, and New York had to move on from them, and they thought, well, let's get them out of the National League, and let's put them in Toronto where they can't hurt us. Well, unless Toronto goes to the damn World Series and faces you in New York, that would be hilarious. But Clendenon and AG are beloved here in Toronto. 1-9, homer 1 to 2 double. That is a double to center field. Lum is a 14 runner, 15-16. You got Dwight Evans -3 arm in center field. Let's run on him. And he scores. Runner second, 2 outs for Milt May. 4-12, pitcher. Boston is 18 outs away from the embarrassment of being in the dumpster. Carl Yastrzemski, 33, rolls the first. Mike Andrews, 2-4, flies the center. Carlton Fisk, 6-12, second X. This is the 3E28 stylings of Darrell Chaney, and he makes the play. Oh boy. Bottom of the fourth. Jim Brazil, 37 is a K. Dan Monson, 54, pops to short. And Bill Voss, 6'10", third X. Third baseman Petrocelli, 2E11 at third base. He makes the play. Top of the fifth. It is Rico Petrocelli, 45 off right, rolls the second. Dwight Evans, 57, is a base hit. And it's John Kennedy. 38 is a K. And with 2 outs, it is Doug Griffin. 1-6 is single dot, so he has to stop at second. With 2 outs for Jackie Hernandez. 1-12, and he strikes out. 1-zip. Bottom of the fifth. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
My goodness. My goodness, folks. You know, it's this Toronto thing has gone on for a long time. This is nothing new. Last half of last year, they made a run to almost sneak in as a wild card team, and ended up with the drafting like 20th. That's how good they were, just missing the playoffs. And now this season, I think they've only lost 1 series, if that. And here they are with a 1-0 lead. In the bottom of the fifth, it is Darrell Chaney. 63, short X. Shortstop's at 3E32. And again, another hit off the shortstop. It's 2 today. Tommy A.G. 2-6. Let's take a look at A.G. You saw the other Met brother, and here's Tommy. Tommy in 71, probably his last big year. 285, 14 home runs. He brought his World Series ring into Toronto last year. Clendon brings his World Series ring. So they got 2 World Series rings in the clubhouse. 2-6, base hit in the center field. Chaney will not challenge the arm. You got runners at first and second, you got Tim Foley. Now, how unconventional is this? The A bunter is going to bunt in the 5th inning of a 1-0 game. He's going to drop it down because he's Tim Foley. And the bunt, it goes Ulrey here. So that's what happens when you bunt in the 5th inning, folks. Bad thing. So he rolls an 11. That's just going to be a 1-5 at putout at third base. Well, that was a waste of time. Maybe the tide is turning on the Blue Jays. So you have Mike Lum with only 1 runner in scoring position, not 2. The pitch to Lum. 2-6 is first B+. Well, it's a fielder's choice. You have runners on the corners because there was no speed on the bases. And it's Don Clendenon with 2 outs. 1-8 is a strikeout, and that is great news for the Red Sox, putting 2 guys on to start the inning, and the Blue Jays fumbling that opportunity away. Clyde Wright, 5 shutout innings, will continue into the 6th. It's Tommy Harper. 46, second X. Chaney's a 3E28, and he makes the play. Yastrzemski, 2-9, he rolls a second. And with 2 outs, Mike Andrews, 2-2, he lines out to third. Well, that's pretty easy. If you don't score, you can't lose the game, Toronto. Your opponent doesn't score. Bottom of the 6th, Milt May. 3-10, flies to right. Jim Brazil, 42, pitcher. Dan Monson, 2-5 is a single, and with 2 outs, it's Bill Voss. 1-7 is a strikeout. So Louis Tiant threw a shutout last time, is not throwing a shutout today, and therefore losing. 1-0 into the 7th we go. It'll be Carlton Fisk. 4-4 off right is catcher's card. Milt May's a 2E6, and that's an out. Rico Petrocelli, 57's a single, and it'll be Dwight Evans. 59 is center B, and with 2 outs, it's John Kennedy. 1-6 is a ground ball to short, and it stays 1-0. Stretch time, bottom of the 7th inning. We have, of course, have been enjoying Rush, Caress of Steel LP. A little bit out of the timeline by a year, but I just couldn't resist. With Toronto playing at home, and maybe a very, very, very young Geddy Lee, the bass player, attending the game, as this new team in town is winning baseball, folks. It's not supposed to happen in 1971, 2, 3, or 4. But it is. Well put together baseball club. Bottom of the 7th. It'll be Louis Tiant going back out there. He's a starter 9. He'll face Darrell Chaney. 1-4 rolls a second. You got Tommy A.G. 45. Double 1-3. Base hit. Ace stealer. -3 arm for what's his name? Fisk. How about a hit and run this time for Foley? And of course, right on cue, Tim Foley. He couldn't get the bunt down last time, but he executes the hit and run single through the hole perfectly when the Blue Jays need it. Runners on the corners, 1 out. They got to bring the infield up, and it's Mike Lum. 2-3, short B, gun down at the plate. And you have first and second with 2 outs for Clendenon. 49, second X, but you got Doug Griffin, a 1E19 second baseman, and of course, right on cue, your 1E19 second baseman makes the error. The good news for Boston is that because of the fielder's choice on the last batter, the bases are be loaded. There won't be a run scored on that play. Because you had first and third, then a force out at the plate, made it first and second, and error loads them up with 2 outs. And it's Milt May. Let's take a look at Milt May before he swings. There's not a whole lot you can do here. They gave Milt symmetry in 71 with this card. 6 homers, 126 at-bats, 83% against righties. So his stats are dead even. Probably had 5 of the 6 against righties. But they gave him all that power against lefties with just 1 home run. They're not always that kind of players, Strat-O-Matic is, but they are to Milt. And I guess you just have to let Louis Tiant do Louis Tiant stuff and pray for the best. And here you go, Boston. This could very well be your season. Bases loaded, 2 outs. The pitch to Milt May. 280 gets him out. He gets him to roll to first. Louis Tiant keeps Boston's season alive for a couple more innings. 8th inning, 1-0. It'll be Doug Griffin leading off. 1-4 short. Jackie Hernandez, 69. This is going to be triple 1-5 off the Clyde Wright card. He can't get it. Gets a single, though. The tie runs on board for Tommy Harper. 5-11. Right field X. The right fielder is Lum, a 2E10 in right field, a 2. And that's a fly ball A that'll put a runner in scoring position with 2 outs. 4, Yaz. Let's take a look at Yastrzemski's card. No bigger moment now, or this season could be all for naught. Now, Yaz had that magnificent 1970 card a year ago. Then in 71 and 72, he had kind of a couple mediocre years. In 73 and 74, he's hit that age, that middle 30s age 33, where you got to change your approach a little bit. And Yaz started to draw more walks in 73 and 74. 105 walks, 19 homers, and a 296 average in 73 after a couple of subpar years prior. And here is a big at-bat against Clyde Wright, Carl Yastrzemski, and here's the pitch. 46 off of Wright is second X. You got a 3E28 at second, a 3E28, and it's a GBA. Isn't it funny how the 1E19 makes an error, but the 3E28 makes the play? That's the way it's gone for Boston and Toronto this year, folks. Toronto is stepped into the horseshoe pot of gold, whatever analogy you want to use there. Bottom of the 8th. It'll be Jim Brazil leading off in just a 1-0 game. Brazil, 67 is a K. Dan Monson, 2-5, base hit. Bill Voss, 57 is a K, and with 2 outs, it's Darrell Chaney. 3-6 is a strikeout. Any defense they can add? Yeah, they're going to bring Hal Lanier in to play third base for Monson. And that's the only defense I think they have to bring in, right? Right. Okay, buckle up for the 9th inning. You know what I'd like to see this team do in this situation here? Oh, yeah, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. They're going to pull Clyde Wright with a shutout. You know why? It's Toronto. They do whatever they want to do, and it always works. So they're going to pull the guy throwing the shutout, and this guy, Grisenda, is going to come in. Joe Grisenda, the all-star closer, had been the Toronto annual representative in the All-Star game. Now he's got some good teammates. He's got Doyle Alexander. He's got Rorick Harrison. 2 really good pitchers the Blue Jays stole out of the Baltimore Oriole farm system. You can see they get their pitchers from their Orioles. They get the old hitters from the Mets. So they know where to look to get, guys on the team that want to smell the playoffs. You don't come to Toronto just to admire the black squirrels. You want to win the World Series. And Joe Grisenda is coming on in with this magnificent card. 5-2, 193 ERA in 70 innings. Was a Washington Senator. He's going to come in. All the defense is in for a 1-0 shutout. A coronation, if you want to call it that. The meat of the Boston lineup as well. And the Blue Jays don't care because Grisenda is going to mow these clowns down. Leading off, Mike Andrews. 2-4. He flies to center. Now you got Carlton Fisk. Let's take a peek at Fisk's card. If he hits a home run, the Red Sox have won games. In games he doesn't hit a home run, they most likely lose. That sort of logic is not going to play well over a full season. This is, I believe, a Rookie of the Year card of 72, 22 homers, and a 293 batting average. The pitch to Carlton Fisk. 2-5 is a bouncer to shortstop. And it is all up to Rico Petrocelli. Let's take a look at him. 69, he had the 40 homers and the 300 average and the 2.16 at short. He had 30 homers and 70, and now he's got the 71 card. He's down to 28 homers, but he does have 91 walks and a 251 average. And he's the last chance to avoid the embarrassment of 4 straight losses to Toronto. The pitch to Rico Petrocelli. 1-7, Rico Petrocelli with 2 outs in the 9th inning, gone! And he has just saved the Boston season for 1 more inning. My goodness. Rico Petrocelli, a 1-7 homer in a 1-0 game with 2 outs in the 9th inning, folks. We got more baseball coming. Will this ignite Boston? It's Dwight Evans. This is Joe Grisenda's second blown save of the series. He blew that save in that extra inning game. So Grisenda is on a kind of a downward spiral for the Blue Jays. Not a good sign for your closer. Dwight Evans. 4-4 off Grisenda. Homer 1 double is a double. Evans is at second base, and it's John Kennedy. Grisenda will finish the inning, and then we'll see if he goes into extras here, if there is extras. The pitch to John Kennedy. 1-2, foul out to catcher, plus injury. All right. Well, they can deal with a Kennedy injury by moving Jackie Hernandez to shortstop. And they'll put Rick Miller in the center field, and they'll move Dwight Evans into right field. They'll move Yastrzemski to first base, they'll move Mike Andrews to DH. And we'll go to the bottom of the 9th. It's now 1-1, but Louis Tiant's not going anywhere. He's a starter 9, and my starter 9s can go 10. So this could be a huge turnaround here. If the Red Sox can get this road win and win a Game 7, and suddenly the narrative changes. Tommy A.G. leading off in the 9th. 47 is a walk. Do you steal off a Fisk here? No. But Tim Foley will try and execute a hit and run again. He rolls an 8. Moves the runner to second base. All right, so speed at second. And you got Mike Lum. He's only got 1 hit today, but he's having a huge year. No sense walking him if you're Louis Tiant on a 1.92 ERA. The pitch to Mike Lum. 5-10 is a walk off the Tiant card. 2 on, 1 out. You can break Tiant here. And you've got Don Clendenon. 2 on, 1 out. The pitch to Don Clendenon. 67 is a K. And with 2 outs, it's Milt May. We saw his card before. Bases loaded in the 7th. He did not come through. He has a chance to do it here for the Blue Jays and get us into regulation with a game-ending hit. Milt May. 2 on, 2 outs. Here's the pitch. 56 off Tiant. Second X. You got a 1/19 second baseman. And that is a nice play there by Griffin. Bonus baseball. Tiant can continue. Grisenda is a relief 3. He can continue. The home closer will continue into the 10th for a second inning. So we got Doug Griffin leading off second extra inning game of the 6th. Doug Griffin. 45 off Grisenda. Double 1-7. Didn't get it. Base hit. Baby steps for the Red Sox. One of these days we'll get one of those hit chances. If you don't roll 1-7 with Petrocelli, you may never score in Boston. So now you have runner at first for Jackie Hernandez. 6-11. Pitcher X. Grisenda's an E0. That is a 1-6-3 double play if you've been following along. E0 home pitchers. I don't roll. It's a GBA. It's one of my home field advantages for being a E0 pitcher. And that comes up and hurts the Sox here. And we have Tommy Harper with 2 outs. 1-7, same as Yaz. Let's take a look at the Harper card. 73, 17 homers, and a 281 average. Same template as Petrocelli's card, where 1-7 was an automatic home run. Here it's homer 1-5, fly ball the rest. But it is the Boston Red Sox. And of course, he cannot hit it. And he flies to left. They cannot buy a 25, 30, 35% chance in this entire series. Bottom of the 10th. Tiant goes out there, folks. Louis Tiant, my starter 9s, can pitch a 10th inning. And he's got to save his season for this squad. It'll be Jim Brazil, the bottom of the 10th against Louis. 2 base runners will break Louis. 1-5! Jim Brazil! Let's take a look at the card. Before they even get back from the concession stands in Toronto, Jim Brazil, an Atlanta Brave in 72. That's interesting. Mike Lum was also an Atlanta Brave. Jim Brazil and Mike Lum from the Braves, Tommy A.G. Clendenon from the Mets, the Oriole pitchers Alexander and Rorik Harrison. We got a heck of a baseball team in Toronto. That is a walk-off homer, and the Red Sox just tortured Boston with our 4th straight win. Boston thought they had a chance by tying it in the 9th. And Louis Tiant, the best pitcher on Boston staff, is asked to go out there for the 10th inning because his team can't score more than a run when he starts. And he surrenders a home run to Jim Brazil in the bottom of the 10th inning. Break up your Toronto Blue Jays, folks. This stuff's getting nutso. This is going to completely wreck the history, particularly in the American League. We have the Expos playing well in the American League in realignment. We have the Blue Jays playing well in the American League in expansion. So traditionally, the only thing you have left is you have the Orioles and the A's, a pretty good White Sox team, and not a whole lot more. So one of those 4 teams could very well go to the World Series, folks. Grisenda gets the win. He gives up 3 hits and a run. 8 innings for Clyde Wright. He gave up 6 hits and that's it. And 3 strikeouts and was pulled. It's okay. Louis Tiant, unbelievable. unbelievably has to take a loss. 11 hits, 2 runs. They were both earned. 3 walks, 11 strikeouts. He does get a complete game. 1-00-10-01-09. 2-11-1-9. 2-11-1-9. 03, 3-11, 3-11, 03. Take a look at the stats here. Break up a victory for the home team. It's good to see the home team win for the fans, you know. Home field advantage and all that. They should win every once in a while. And they won 1 of the 6 games. And the most critical one, the final one. In Boston's season, this is the black cat, you know, walk under a ladder, whatever you want to say. This is the doomed, cursed of the Bambino kind of bad mojo Red Sox thing we're seeing. This has just been a horrible way to lose 4 straight. So here we are, stats. The Toronto Blue Jays, a team that did not come into existence until 1977. They are now 11-5. If this was football, that'd be a playoff team. They are hitting .280. I don't think they have any .280 hitters on their team, but they're hitting .280. That's good. Do they have any .280 hitters? Let's check it out. 247, 233, 273, 251, 200, 228, 235, 285. There's a guy, Tommy A.G. hitting 285. 241. Lum's hitting 294 on this card. Clendenon on 247. Milt May 278. So only 2 Strat-O-Matic cards have batting averages over 280 on this Toronto team, but they're averaging 280. Team ERA is 281. 2 wins apiece by all their starters. The closer Griselda has 2 wins, a loss, and 4 saves. Mike Lum, let's look what his year is all about. Here he is. His 28 hits leads his team. He's 28 for 72. 389. 389 for Lum. You got 5 homers for Clendenon. You got 15 RBI for Lum. You have an incredible 18 runs scored by Mike Lum in 16 games. Was he the first, I think trivia, was Mike Lum the first Hawaiian-born player in Major League Baseball? I'm trying to remember. There's a trivia, I thought, associated with that. But you can chime in the comments section if I got that wrong or right. And the Red Sox, unbelievable, are 7-13. It has all fallen apart in the year 2. The Boston Red Sox have figured out a way to hit .214 as a club. They figured out how. What do you have to do to hit .214 in Fenway Park? Well, the Red Sox have figured that out precisely. Now let's look at their cards. We looked at, I gave you the averages of Toronto's players. Yastrzemski, 296. Andrews, 282. Fisk, 293. Petrocelli, 251. Evans, 281. Miller, 261. Kennedy, 276. Griffin, 260. Hernandez, 206. Hal King, 207. Larry Stahl, 253. Tommy Harper, 281. A little bit better than Toronto, but they are 60-some points different in batting average. Boston's pitchers, 3.54 ERA. You give me that, you say Boston's going to have a 3.54 team ERA, you take it 9 times out of 10. You take that and you have a chance of making the playoffs. It's been disastrous. Louis Tiant's 2-3, but 16 runs in 41 innings. That's a 3.51 ERA. That's okay. Not much better. Tommy Harper has 17 stolen bases. He's only scored 10 runs in 20 games. Fisk, like I mentioned, he's got 6 home runs. The Boston's won 7 games. 6 homers, 15 RBIs for Fisk. Somebody has to go to the All-Star game for them this year. Probably it would be him. A nightmare. I mean, yeah, there it is. You got these 3 teams. This is a, see this games behind? This is supposed to be Toronto. Oh, that's supposed to be Toronto right there. Their other team is supposed to be 6 games back. But it is the Red Sox who are toast, pretty much, in the American League. And the Blue Jays are going to try and steal a wild card or division spot away from the rest of the field in the American League. What a crazy day here in Toronto. Break up the Toronto Blue Jays. 4 straight wins after dropping the first 2 at home. Great. That's a great team achievement there. That means that, you know, it's a good collection of cards that play offense, defense, and relief and substitutions and all that. They do a great job. That's it today in Toronto. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time.